minute. I hope y'all are having a good day. I'm a little sweaty. Down here in South Mississippi, it is still very, very hot. So anything you do outside in South Mississippi, probably until mid-November at least, you're gonna sweat. Every now and then, we will have a cool end of October. Some nights are getting into being a little bit more cold, but for the most part, it is burning hot here in South Mississippi until just about, like I said, probably mid to late November. We don't really get a break from the heat. It just is what it is. So you're gonna see, if you see me in Colby, you're probably gonna see us sweating in some degree. So my mom is on. Hey mom, thank you for jumping on. I'm gonna wait for some more comments to come through. Hey Arkansas, yeah, you kind of feel us too with the heat. I was talking about being sweaty and not getting a break from the cool. For another hot minute down in the south, it just stays hot for a pretty long time. So how are y'all today? See some people starting to jump on. Tell me where you guys are from. Some names I recognize, and sometimes I know that people jump on and I'm not exactly sure where you're from. Texas knows all about the heat. Yes, Arkansas for sure. Pennsylvania, yeah, y'all don't get it. Y'all don't get the heat like we do, and we don't get the cold like y'all do. With that being said, I will much rather take the heat over y'all's kind of cold, because I don't do cold. It hurts my bones inside. So I don't prefer cold. I would prefer to sweat a little bit and put on a t-shirt and shorts and roll with it, versus absolutely freezing and having to walk around with like big jackets and all that stuff on. Kentucky, yeah, Kentucky, y'all get all 4 seasons there. Virginia, y'all pretty well do too. And Georgia, I see Georgia on there. Colby's not going to be able to be on today, y'all. He is working his normal job, but I really want to try to make, in this kind of weird time for us right now, where a lot, guys, we're doing soccer 2 nights a week, we do piano 2 days a week, we do tennis 2 days a week, we have tumble in there, and 2 of my kids go to dyslexic therapy. So Jennings and Sayla go, and that's 1 day a week as well. So our schedules are all over the place. We school from 8 to 12. We have lunch, and pretty much Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, from lunch until almost bedtime, it's either running to an activity or I'm in the kitchen trying to get food prepped or cooked or both. So saying all that to say, it is just a little bit of an odd time for us right now, and I don't want to stop making videos. So I'm gonna try through September to get on here and do some lives with y'all on Wednesday, because I do have a little bit of a break on Wednesdays from right now until it is time for us to go to church tonight. We do have a little bit of a time, kind of a break, that I can jump on here and talk to y'all for a little while. But hopefully once September is over, I will be jumping back into recording videos for y'all. I know Colby is putting a lot on his channel. Thank y'all, that's very sweet. He's trying to do his normal videos, of course, his daily posts that he does over on the Max, and then of course my channel with Life on a Farm, and then he does Life with Colby Mac, and he shows a lot of the things that he does while he's at home that is more geared towards his responsibility. So I hope y'all enjoy those videos. It's kind of hard for me to vlog. I know it is hard for me to vlog when I'm literally running from place to place and just trying to count the kids, y'all. I have to remember, if we're going from place to place, everybody gets in the car. Most people don't have to do this, and I understand that, but I have 6 kids, which Aiden's not with us a lot, but with the little ones, I always have to do a head count to make sure I have everybody. So little things like that. And I don't film with my phone. I film with like a real camera. So just lugging something like that around is a little bit extra right now, when I literally, like, for example, my day yesterday was school, we started school at 8 o'clock. We got done at 12. Of course, we did lunch. We went from, I had a couple of hours in between, 2 hours by the time we got done cleaning up. Tiffany, thank you so much. Y'all are so sweet. I appreciate that very much. We went from prepping, I went from fixing lunch and cleaning that up to prepping, right into prepping supper. Then we had a piano from 3 to 4 and 4 to 5. All 4 kids went. I literally left piano, brought the kids home, got dressed, and was at the soccer fields. I had like a 20-minute gap to get from piano, get home, get soccer clothes on, and get to the soccer fields. We did not leave the soccer fields until 7:30 last night. We literally ran in the door. I fed the kids. They helped me clean up the kitchen. We did baths and went to bed. And I have to remind myself, I don't want this kind of life. This is going to lead me into my flowers and talking about some deep issues in just a minute. But that's not the lifestyle that we desire. We do not want to be in the road where we don't have family time. We're abandoning that. Sitting around the table as a family and being able to talk about our days and keeping those close bonds are very important to us. So this is not our lifestyle. It is, I just have to remind myself, it is just for a season. So we will have only 8 soccer games, which falls on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So after 4 weeks of this, we will be done. And I still make that extra effort, even if it is in the morning before school or during lunch or right after lunch, wherever I find that hour or two to go ahead and prep my meals for the next meal. It just helps. And if I can cook in bulk and just pull out leftovers, that helps a lot too. So this is not the life that we want. It is just a season that we're in right now, and we're just trying to survive. But it is fun, and it is fun memories made. Hey guys, yeah, thank you for the thumbs up. I really do appreciate that. It does help tremendously with our channel, because the more activity is on a channel, the more the channel is going to get recommended, and of course that does help us. And so if you can comment and put the thumbs up, it does help our channel. So people say that, but they say it with an intention behind it, and that is why the more activities on a channel, the more YouTube is likely to recommend to your channel to a bigger audience outside of people that have just subscribed. So that's how, like, sometimes if you're like scrolling on YouTube or whatever, and you may see a channel that you've never seen before, it's because YouTube has put it there in front of you. So that is that, y'all. But I want to jump in real quick and talk about these flowers and where these flowers come from. So Aiden brought these to me today. He is 17 and a half now, which is a little mind-blowing in itself. Some of you guys who have already trained your kids up and raised them up and sent them off into the world, you totally feel what I'm just going to say. It is a huge responsibility to be gifted motherhood and fatherhood, and that's something that Colby and I have never really taken lightly. So with that being said, having this mindset of training your kids has always been very near and dear to us, and for us, making that sacrifice to be able to be home with them, because I had a full-time nursing job. I worked full-time as a nurse and made a whole second income for us. But when I decided to put that aside, it was strictly a calling for me. I either had the option to work and give my paycheck to a private school, or send my kids to public school, or quit my job and come home. So it was definitely a lot of praying and waiting on answers. But when God did answer that calling, I can fully look back now and say without a shadow of a doubt, y'all, that I don't regret it one bit. I know that people have to work to put food on the table, and I'm so thankful that when I decided to quit my job, it opened another door for Colby to be able to take the slack there. So we never did without. We never really had to sacrifice anything, and I'm very thankful for that. But I felt like that door got open because of our obedience. Initially, me saying that we're going to cut the income off. I'm going to stay home. I don't want to give my check to the private school to raise my kid and me work in a very high level stress job if I don't have to. So we knew that we were going to be living on a budget, but that was something that we were willing to do. And it's been a blessing, y'all. It really has been. I got to watch all of Aiden's first, all 6 of my kids. I was able to be there for that. And I know that every parent can't do that. And that's why I'm saying I'm thankful, because I know that every parent can't do that. But with being home has its own challenges. I honestly was tested daily for patience, endurance, and all of the things. And many days failed miserably at that, for sure. But through having multiple kids and being able to be home and being responsible for all the things home, you know, sometimes you look back and you say, what could I have done different, or where did I go wrong, or what happened? But an examination of yourself only helps you get better. And I am thankful for that opportunity to be able to be home. And I said all that to say that gestures like this from my 17-and-a-half-year-old doesn't come often from many 17-and-a-half-year-old boys. So all the times that I beat myself up, or I was like, what could or should I have done differently, makes me say we did something right. Now, most worldview would say y'all were way too strict on him. Y'all should have let him do this, or y'all should have let him do that, or blah, blah, blah. And it's not about sheltering him and protecting him. It's about, we're going to be the only ones to shelter him and protect him. And if I would have sent him out to the world when I was called to be home and train him and teach him at home, his mindset and thinking could have definitely been a lot different. So I am thankful for the opportunity that I was able to raise him scripturally and instill values in him while he was at home with me. And, you know, there are those challenges where you always face where you're not your kid's friend. And that's not fun, because you want to be your kid's friend, but you have to be your kid's parent. And that's not always fun, because with parenting means establishing people want to say dominance as is a bad thing, because our culture has so feminized the word where dominance is a bad thing, but dominance is not a bad thing. But to show dominance over our children, we are the head of the home and they are not. That's what parenting is about, establishing rules and regulations for them to guide them in the right way. And sometimes when we get away from that, our children don't know which way to go, because there hasn't been a foundation for them laid to know what's biblically right and what's not. So that's where I feel like parenting has been so important for us, in the fact that I have been able to be home, yes, which is a huge blessing, but I've also been able to train and correct them when they're wrong, and do it in a patient and gentle, loving way sometimes. So, and I'm gonna be honest with y'all, there's times I'll be like, why did you do that? I mean, you know, we are all guilty of that. But besides the point of just saying, it is so important, I feel like, in our culture to teach our children and our men how to go from boys to men, and from boys to men to leaders, because we need that desperately in our country right now. We need our children that know right from wrong. Where do you get right from wrong from? Well, the Bible tells us what's right and wrong. The idea that, y'all, I don't want to get too preachy, because I want to talk to y'all here in just a little bit, but the idea that we can just come up with truth is beyond, like, that just completely blows my mind. So we can't just come up with truth, right? There has to be a basic foundation of truth and what that looks like. So anybody can say, well, 2 + 3 is 4. Does that make it truth? No, it doesn't. The truth of that is 2 + 2 is 4. So unless somebody is there to speak that, then whoever thinks 2 plus 4 is 5, then we're leading people astray with these false ideas. Same thing with boys that want to be girls and girls that want to be boys. I mean, you can say you're a boy all you want. I can say that I'm the Pope, but that doesn't actually make me the Pope, right? There has to be an absolute truth somewhere, and getting back to that and making sure that our children understand what absolute truth is. It has to be taught to them. And the only way we would know what absolute truth is to go to the Bible for that. And I could just go on and on and on about like what absolute truth looks like, but our moral standards has to come from the basis of truth, and we know that comes from Scripture. So I encourage you guys to dig into this and really give it some thought on our moral values and our moral corrections. And I have even gone out just this week and witnessed to someone and talked to them about the Lord, and we talked about hell, and we talked about the great white judgment, and I was able to really share with that person. So I challenge y'all to kind of get outside of your comfort zones, especially, I know probably the majority of you guys don't have little kids anymore, but to know what absolute truth is. So you have to get in your Bible to be able to know what that is, and then to be able to share that with other people, because they're not going to know unless you tell them. So that's just a word of encouragement for y'all, and to say how thankful I am that, you know, my 17-and-a-half-year-old thinks enough to say thank you for the little things that we've kind of been working on together to bring me flowers home for that. So that was very special, and I did not expect it, but I was a little caught off guard, but I am very thankful for that. And I will say this before I start talking to y'all, and I want to take some questions too, but to say that he has been taught not only by me, but by his father and his actions too, because Colby and I have been married almost 20 years, y'all. I know some people say, well, you don't look like you're old enough to be that old, but we've been married almost 20 years, and I will say that he has a great role model and example within the home. So not only does he hear me teach these things within the home, but he sees them as well, not only from me, but from his father too. And I still get flowers from Colby, even though I tell him, spend that money on something else. Like, I would rather have like seeds or seed trays, or, you know, like, y'all know how I am. Y'all know me. Give me an herb book or something. But it doesn't matter. He still brings flowers home, still to this day. And we've been married for almost 20 years. And my husband still brings me home flowers, not just for occasions, not just for birthdays or Mother's Days, like just randomly, with notes in them that say, like, just wanted you to know, love you, or keeping my flowers fresh, or, you know, stuff like that. So very thankful, and he has learned from his daddy as well. So, all right, y'all, I just wanted to show y'all that and share what was on my heart, because I don't think that we'll ever see our nation change if it does not start within the home. Our children have to be trained right in truth to go from boys to men, and our men have to be trained to be leaders. And if that doesn't happen, we're never going to see our world change. We have to have godly leaders rise up and speak up before we ever see any change. So, all right, guys, if you have any questions, I would love for you guys to put that in all caps so I can see that. And I will get to those questions. We have, I'm sorry that your husband passed away. I know that a lot of people have dealt with the tragic loss of a father in the home, and that is very hard. So somebody just said, how's your daughter's heart? They just called us today, actually. So her monitor, she went in to have what's called pulmonary function test done. We took her for that. That come back abnormal. So he did say that she is experiencing asthma spells, And he did note one episode that alerted on her heart monitor, but he said that he felt like that she was having the heart experience because of the asthma, because she's not getting enough oxygen and her heart is having to overcompensate when she's active to get enough oxygen to where it's supposed to go. So where we're at right now is he wants her to have an inhaler. He told us to use it every day. However, I am not for that. So we will have it for when she needs it. I don't want her breathing in medications in her lungs daily. That's just my parenting decision. So we will have it on hand, and when she gets, because we are very active, when she gets active and she's having issues breathing, she will be able to use her inhaler at that point in time. He does want to continue to follow up with her just because she does have a rapid heart rate. It's regular, but it's rapid. And she doesn't experience any symptoms when Eliza's heart rate has always been very strong and very fast. And we noticed that from the time she was really, really little. Even when she was asleep, you could just put your hand on her heart and it beat very hard and very fast. So that was my main thought whenever she come to me and said, I just feel like I can't catch my breath when I'm exercising. My mind immediately went to her heart. But her heart, everything is checked out okay. We are, I believe, experiencing asthma-induced, exercise-induced asthma. So we will monitor that very closely, and we will have the inhaler on hand. But thank you for asking. We finally did get some answers. They called us back today. It has been about 10 or 11, 12 days, something like that. But we finally do have some answers. Her pulmonary function test did come back abnormal. So did Colby find a way to scare off the birds at the pond? I give up on them. I have my theory on the way to get rid of them, but I'll leave that stuff up to him. We do still have some, not as many. Yes, so we do still have some, but not as many. I do hope that she will outgrow it too. One of the nurses in training, I'm assuming that she was following for med school, told us as we were leaving, she said, hey, I just wanted you to know I had the same symptoms that she's having all my teen years, but I did outgrow that. So don't be extremely upset, because I know that what I experienced, I was able to outgrow that. And I've heard that from a lot of people. So Aiden's heart problem ended up being what we ruled viral, because everything else checked out, blood work, everything, heart monitor, everything re-rolled out, which I told you guys a lot of what we initially seen going on. We immediately kicked out all caffeine. I'm thinking nicotine and caffeine, but those are two totally different things, y'all. My brain is going faster than my mouth can spit words out. So the caffeine, we kicked out the caffeine, and it didn't help. So that's when we started saying, okay, well, something else must not be right. And we were initially told in the emergency room that it was viral, and I was like, nah, he hadn't even been sick. Oh, we're not rolling with this answer. I want to make sure everything is fine. We're talking about his heart here. So we went through all the extra precautions, everything come back clean and normal. And even after he took the monitor off and we talked to the doctor one more time, and he said, let's just kind of follow up on what happens. And y'all, they stopped. So when I say answered prayer, by all means, answered prayer. If we want to rule it viral, hey, I'm fine with that. We don't have a major condition or issue to worry with. That in itself was an answered prayer. However, I think it's a little weird that viruses can cause your heart rate to just spike like that when you're not showing any symptoms of being sick. He was completely asymptomatic except for his heart racing, which was very weird. So that's that. These viruses are weird now. So all of the other kids are great. So we are very thankful. Is yes, the new fish that Jennings and I caught are doing great. I've not had any problems. Speaking of, when I get off here with y'all, I've got to go dip some water out of the fish tank, and I'm not going to try to pull the hose all the way back in there, but I have moved my banana trees that are growing pretty nice now. I've moved them in there, and I've just been dipping in with the bucket and poured in those. I did not do that yesterday or today, which means I have to go do it. And then we're off to supper. So an owl, yeah, well, we actually have an owl around here. Speaking of the birds at the pond, when I come out really early in the mornings, which I think he kind of comes and goes, because sometimes I can come out and I can hear him in the distance making his call, and then I won't hear him for a hot minute, and then I'll hear him again. So I know we have an owl that comes and goes, and I actually love to hear an owl, listen to their hoot. I love it. It's just very calming and peaceful. It makes me feel close to creation, which I love, because we know that God is the creator of all creation, and I just love to hear that owl. But I haven't heard him in a little while. Like, I was out here this morning watering our seed starts, and I did not hear him at all. So do you have any videos on chicken processing? So yes, we do. If you go over to the Max channel and go back to some of our older videos, we actually we were taught by Mr. Joel, and not personally, not one-on-one, but we watched him butcher, and took the way that he butchered and brought that home because we really liked it. So we actually took the way he did it and recorded it for y'all and put it out there. And it is a lot of work, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. Doing meat birds is probably the hardest thing that we do on our farm, but it does provide you a lot of meat that you can put up in the freezer, and you can grow out in a really, really quick amount of time. Raising your steers up, you know, you put them in the field. It does take a hot minute to raise them up, but you get hundreds of pounds of meat, and the work, because we do take our steers to a butcher, and there is a little bit more cost there, but compared to what you pay in the store, by all means it's cheaper. Now I will say this, because the cattle market is what I consider flipped upside down right now, unless you find somebody just basically giving a steer away, you better not look in the market right now, because you probably wouldn't save much money right now. Hold on, I saw another question, y'all. Hold on. Okay, talking about my herbal capsules. Okay, so what I do is I raise my own garlic, I raise my own onion, I raise my own turmeric, I raise my own ginger, I raise my own moringa. I'm trying to think what else like I put in there that just off the top of my head. Those are just some for example. So I raise all those myself. Once I harvest those, I dry them, grind them down into powder. So I have jars that have moringa, turmeric, ginger, garlic, onion, all of those things. And then I take, like, say I want to make some capsules. I'll take like 1/4 of a cup of each one of those. I'll put them down in a bowl, give it a good stir with a spoon, and then I buy the beef gelatin clear capsules. And all you do literally is open them up, fill the capsules, put them back together, and then I put them in another jar, just a little mason jar. And actually I've been taking my booster. Oh, this one that I'm taking right now has colostrum in it too, from our cow, because when our cows drop their calves, the first at least 3 good days while we're milking her out, we get some of the colostrum too. Now, she holds back milk, y'all, so don't think we're like stripping everything from the baby, but it's called calf sharing. So those couple of days that we're getting our portion of the milk, there's some colostrum in there, and I freeze dry that, grind that into powder, and I added that into the last set of capsules that I made. That's a very good question. A lot of people don't realize that they can do that. So I'm getting a huge boost of nutrients that are God-given, completely off of my farm, from in my backyard, y'all, my kitchen garden. I'm gonna just swing y'all around for those who've never watched a whole lot of our videos. This is my kitchen garden down here. Behind all of the blueberry bushes is a whole landscape of edible fruits and vegetables, from pears to elderberries to raspberries to blackberries. There is comfrey, there is yarrow, like echinacea flower, lemon balm, lemongrass, turmeric, ginger is all right here. Like, there's so much you can do that people just don't even think about. So I take all of that and then I just put it in the capsule, and like, since we're going into fall, right, I take one a day. And especially if I feel like I've been exposed to something or been around somebody that was sick, of course, I will make sure that I take one as well. But that was a very good question. I hope I answered it. Those are some of my favorites to grow because they are so easy. None of those are really hard to grow. Once you get them established in the ground, like, that's it. All right, y'all. 5 acres with 22 chickens and 3 roosters. That's great. Okay, the seed company that we mostly use, I'm glad you brought that up. So we love Survival Garden Seeds. We've met the owner, Jason. He is a fantastic guy. Actually, 90% of our seed starts that we just started were all Survival Garden Seeds. Now, here's the thing that I really, really like about them. To answer your question shortly, the answer is no. I bought my moringa seeds online from Amazon and was able to germinate those and get those started. And y'all, my little tree just started from small and grew, and it is way taller than me now, but is not frost tolerant. So if you do not have a place that you can protect it, don't grow it because it does not like the frost. But even once it dies back in the winter, I have cut it back and it grows back. Sometimes I don't even cut it back, but little shoots will start growing from what's been planted as long as you keep it away from the frost. Okay, so going back to Survival Garden Seeds, I just want to share this with y'all real quick. Non-GMO Heirloom is a big deal to us. Their non-GMO seeds is very important to us. We do not want genetically modified anything in our diet, much less our seeds where we grow our food. But also they make it so convenient because they have kits put together. So if you want to grow more along the lines of medicinal herbs, when you guys, I have a link in my description where all you have to do is click on that. It will take you right to their website. I'm a firm believer in their seeds. We've had great success, y'all. My cayennes from them will not stop making, which means I have to keep making a hot sauce, and I'm not complaining at all. But the peppers, bell peppers, y'all, our cayenne peppers are rolling in unbelievably. All of those seeds come from Survival Garden Seeds. But the kits make it so convenient. If you're more geared towards, I want to grow like container gardening or apartment gardening, y'all, they already have like some of the best options put together for you. If you want to grow, like I said, more medicinal type things where you want to take those and be able to use them more in a medicinal form, they already have a kit put together for you. If you're thinking more of fall growing, they are, and you say, well, I don't really know what to grow during the fall. Y'all, they already have a kit put together for you. Same thing with spring. Somebody may want to grow in the spring and say, well, I'm not exactly sure what to grow. I just want to try some things. They already have a kit put together for y'all. That is one of the things I have loved about them. They also have these vaults. They have some that are small that work their way up. Huge, y'all, absolutely huge. They have the basics in the small one, and of course added to as you go up. They're very reasonable, and Jason really is a great guy. He is a nice guy. We were able to meet him at Okie Homestead 2 years ago, and his heart is in educating people. And I know that after he told me that, I was like, well, Jason, we already know that, because on the back of your seed package, who would put how to save seeds on the back of their package? Also, like, once you buy their seeds, it tells you exactly what to do to save your seeds, which is huge. I don't know of another company that will tell you how to keep your seeds, y'all. That is huge. That is major. So when he shared that, we kind of laughed and we were like, well, we already know education is really important to you because you give how-tos on your package. Like who really does that? So we kind of laughed about that. But y'all, a lot of that has taught me, like, I know how to keep probably at least 60% of my seeds, if not more than that, but there are some things I don't know. But anything that you grow that their site sells, all of them have instructions. So when I started out learning things like tomatoes were pretty easy. They're annual, so you need to be able to get that seed out. Some things are biennial, which means every 2 years they produce seeds. So if you grow something like carrots, for example, you will let your carrots or a certain section of your carrots stay in the ground until that second year, and then they will grow off and produce these beautiful heads that go to seed, and then you have your carrot seeds. So great question, guys. Yes, we have been working on our new business, y'all, and we are learning a lot, and it is a lot of fun. We do not have clay dirt, but if you do, you're going to have to do a lot of adding to, and if you don't want to add to, then go up. I actually prefer raised beds because the older I get, I know my back is not going to want to be on the ground with me on the ground. So I would suggest now find you some metal raised beds. They're pretty cost effective, and start building your clay up in those raised beds rather than in the ground. If at all possible, it will be easier on your back and your body, honestly, just especially as you grow and you get older. So we don't have a lot of Japanese beetles around here. The main thing that we struggle with the most, I would say, in our area that is extremely destructive is vine borers, watermelon, squash, cucumbers, literally vining plants. Those things will, they're bugs. They're like winged bugs, but they lay larvae in the soil, and those larvae hatch out in like very close to the soil by the base of the plant, and they bore into the vine and then eat their way to the end, obviously destroying your plant. And we do have lots of pests in our area, and we personally don't spray so it is a constant battle for us. And I'm just going to tell y'all now, if y'all are watching and you see that haze, I just didn't think about it, but my phone has a little crack in the glass on the top. Sorry, y'all, I just didn't think about that, so that's why that's there. I'll have to take that off before I talk to y'all next week. I'm looking for questions, y'all. Yes, raised beds are just a whole lot easier to do. It's just easier on you and your back. Your body's going to thank you for it when you get older. I won't say that we plant everything in raised beds, but the majority of our stuff we do try to plant in our raised beds. And we do have a really big garden that Colby mostly tends down by the barn. And it is a full till. I mean, because it's so big, you can't not till it. We rotate our chickens on it, so that's where we get our natural fertilizers from. And we work it like a normal garden. But pretty much everything down here is in our raised metal beds. Yes. So is metal beds better than wood? Yes. And let me tell you why. Because even treated wood after a while is going to rot. Take it from me and my experience. I started off all with wood. Our first beds that we ever did, we constructed them ourselves with scrap wood from a company here that's not I don't know about that threat. I have not heard that, but I wouldn't be surprised with the amount of craziness that we have in our world right now. But we can pray that that's not the case and that the staff there will be protected. So when I get off here, guys, I'm going to pray for that. Y'all make sure y'all pray for that as well. But we went to this company that we had here that had basically raw wood, completely untreated. I don't know really why that they didn't treat it, or they had it extra that was kind of like their scrap section. And we built all of our beds from that for literally almost nothing, like pennies to the dollar, almost nothing. But only, that's Turning Point USA, y'all. For if you don't know what that is, it's Turning Point. But after I would say about a good 4 or 5 years, y'all, those beds were falling apart. So then we maneuvered to your pressure treated wood, and those don't last either. Again, we hit that 5 or 6 year mark and the beds were falling apart. And I just really don't have time for that. So I really like the metals. I prefer the 2 to 3 foot high ones, especially the 2. If you go any lower than that, it's still really hard on you, or it is for me because it's kind of low and I'm pretty short. So if you're any taller than like 5'2", it's going to be tough on you too. So I do like the taller beds. And y'all, there are lots of companies. If you find a company, I did find that they are a little bit more expensive versus if you can go to like Amazon, you can get them there. Even Tractor Supply has like some feeding troughs, but I will say they're taller, but they're narrow. They're real narrow, so you can't get as much in there. And they come with a pretty heavy price tag too. So if you can find them on Amazon, which is honestly where the majority of ours come from, even though I don't like to shop off Amazon much. Here in our little town, we live in a tiny, small community. I'm going to guess here, but I would say our population is probably about 10,000. And our biggest store is Tractor Supply and Walmart. So that's what we got here. We don't have anything else. And in order to do some of the other things that we do, we just kind of have to shop outside of our town. So any other question? Oh, what size containers? Oh, so my banana trees right now, they are just, okay, size comparison. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to tell y'all. My biggest one, hold on y'all. My biggest one is probably in a pot a little bit bigger than this. So if you can reference me to the pot, it's probably a little bit bigger than this. I have some real peppermint in there. I can smell it when I put it on me. So they're not real big yet, but they are getting there. I started them from, y'all, they were like this tiny when I first got them. And they were very delicate. I was actually very shocked at how delicate they were. So that's great. That's great. If your tomatoes didn't do good in your buckets this year, you might want to look at, if they're 5-gallon buckets, you might want to look at going to bigger buckets and heavy, heavy, heavy feeding. Tomatoes demand a ton of nutrients. And if they're not getting that, they will not grow well. Yeah, biggest store is Walmart. I mean, I really hate that. If anybody knows me and my feel on Walmart, the way they handled our gift card situation, if I can avoid any big box stores, I try to. But that's pretty much all we have in our little town. So yes, we do have to cover our banana trees in our area. We live in a very hot and humid zone, but we always have those couple of days. In December, really mostly in January, we have a handful of days where it will get down under freezing and stay under freezing. So if you don't cover them, they will die. I don't even chance it because I want to keep mine in my greenhouse and I plan on growing mine up out in there. So no, so this is my first year with bananas. I started them this spring and they were teeny tiny. And I hope to grow them up hopefully by next spring or winter. Next spring or next winter, I'm hoping that they're a couple of feet tall by then. So they still have a good ways to go, and they are demanders of all nutrients as well, which is why I slam them with, y'all, I had a lot of people ask this too. They don't understand why I have fish in tanks. Why wouldn't I just use the water from the tank? Why are the fish in there? So the reason why the fish are in the tanks is because the fish put their waste in the tank. So now you have natural fertilizer in a tank that I'm able to use directly on my plants, if that makes sense. So yes, we have a tank for watering, but while the water is in there, the fish is fertilizing the water, and I'm able to take the fertilized water to water my plants, which is also feeding my plants. So very cool concept. The only tweak that I would make on it is raising it up more. So it's probably like 2 or 3 feet off the ground. But I wish I would have doubled that and went like 4 or 5 or 6 feet off the ground, because I need a little bit more gravity. It comes out, but I feel like it takes me forever to water all of my stuff. So I wish it was a little bit higher so I had a little bit more gravity so I could water a little bit faster. But I don't cover my banana tree. I don't know if I missed some comments in there. My banana tree stays in my greenhouse. So my greenhouse is fully secured. So when this will be our first year with it, so it's going to be tweaking it a little bit and checking all of the things. This is going to be my first full year with it, but all of my frost intolerant plants will go in there. And I'm hoping that I'm able to use this greenhouse to continue to grow through the winter, because I had a greenhouse in the back and it was not fully secured, and cold air would get in, and I could keep heaters in there to keep it warm, but it was only to basically protect my plants. Not really growing, just to keep my plants from dying. But I'm hoping now that with a fully secured, no air should be flooding in, if I keep it secure and add heat, even when it gets really, really cold, that I'm going to be able to grow in there. So I'm excited. We'll see what this winter looks like. You know, I don't know what it'll look like, but we'll find out. Oh, the cookbook. Okay, I seen somebody say something about a cookbook, but I didn't know if that was for me or not, and I'm trying to address a couple of questions. So I will. Thank you for bolding that, because I can see it a little bit better. We were approached a couple of years ago about a cookbook. Y'all know that I love to be in the kitchen. I don't like to do the dishes after, but I love to cook. I'm not an extremely creative cooker, but I love to cook, and I love to try new things. But I don't feel like it's something that we can add to our plate right now. Maybe as some of the younger kids get a little bit older, we could dedicate time to do that. But we were approached by a company that asked us to do a cookbook with them. And I didn't feel, so we prayed over it for a couple of weeks, but I didn't feel like anything that I give y'all, I want to be tried and true. Whether it's a cookbook or a raised metal bed or seeds or a freeze dryer or whatever that is, I want it, I want to use it, I want to love it before I recommend it. That is just my personal conviction. I would never recommend something to y'all that I didn't like. We have had to tell a couple of people a time or two before, we don't want to represent this, or we don't want to recommend this either. So, but the majority of the stuff we are usually very happy with, and we recommend it to y'all. But I would never want to create something that I couldn't put my whole heart into and make it great. And I don't feel like at this time that we can create something and make it great, because we're so loaded down right now. And as our kids get older and they're able to assume more of those responsibilities, I think I used the wrong word there, those responsibilities from us, it will help free up a little bit more of our time. But right now, Aiden is our oldest. He's in school, which he made a 98 on one of his second exam today. So I'm so excited about that. It kind of makes me go, thank you, Lord, because I know I raised a kid that is capable. And outside of the home, he's able to be tested through school outside of me and still does very well. So he had a law and ethics class today that he had to take, and he made a 98 on his exam. Now, it's all online, so I'm very thankful. Colby and I have been drilling him on a couple of things. He'll say, I've made these note cards. Do y'all go over them with me? I want to make sure I have this. So very proud of him. I am so thankful. And that allows me to see what he's exposed to as well, because we all know how colleges are. And this is a private university, but I'm able to also be able to sit down and look over his work, but it's all online. But the way he has to do his testing, it's on a live feed. So he has to literally get on the live feed. He has to show the entire room that he's in, area he's in. There can be nothing behind him, nothing around him, no phone, no electronics, no computers, except for like any additional computers or iPads or anything like that. He has to show with his camera like all around him. He has to be dressed a certain way, and absolutely no distractions. So once he completed his exam today, he sent me a message that he made a 98 on it. So we were very, very, I was like, yay! It makes me feel like, okay, I did a little something right somewhere. So yeah, Aiden's getting all the woohoos. Very thankful, because I've always been the one to test Aiden outside of the ACT. So for him to be able to take proctored tests under college teachers and still do very well, I'm very thankful for that. So yeah. All right, guys, I'm going to get off of here. We will be having a huge announcement coming up soon in a couple of weeks. Y'all do not want to miss this. So I am going to try to catch y'all next Wednesday. I want to get on here. I've been on here for almost an hour, and chit chat with y'all. Once we can kind of get September under our belt, I really hope to I need some water, y'all, sorry. I really hope to pick back up with my filming. I want to show y'all our seed starts. I want to talk to y'all about why we're planting some stuff, where we're planting it. So the whys behind of some of the decisions that we're going to be doing. I want to show y'all some of that stuff. I want to be showing y'all harvesting as we start bringing that stuff in. I want to show y'all things like how we feed our plants that are going to go in the ground. I think those things are very important for education purposes, and then some huge announcements rolling out. So y'all are not going to want to miss this. It is very exciting. So y'all stay tuned in a couple of weeks. Guys, you're not going to want to miss this. So hang tight for that. Until next time, y'all, God bless and happy homesteading, y'all.